VividCrystalFX is like a mask. You tape out whatever design you want. I'm going to use the Ghost Chrome as my base color. Now, put one wet coat on and walk away from it. If you want it to fade, like I'm going to try and do, put your wet coat here and let whatever oversprays back there just lightly. And that's it. Walk away from it. Less is more. You screw with it too much, it's not going to work out. Now just a quickie look of how we got it taped up. Now a wetter coat will make your crystals bigger and deeper and more pronounced looking, whereas a lighter coat will be a lot less. You can do the same thing with heat. If you want to put it on in a wet coat and not overdo it, and then use either a hair dryer or a heat gun and heat up one surface to create a lesser look of the crystal lines that it's going to leave, swirls, it will do what it wants to do, okay? So it's going to be very hard to duplicate the exact same patterns on different parts unless you have a perfect condition and everything is exactly the same. But what I want to do is I want it to look heavy and pronounced here, and I want to get it a little muted and faded back. So I'm going to spray it on heavy here, just let the overspray go, and a little medium coat here, and then I'm going to go at it with the heat gun, and I'm going to warm it up so that it dries a little quicker so that I get a different effect, and we're going to see the difference between the two. It's just a mask. You need to have something for your secondary color. You put your secondary color on, your secondary color is what stays. The crystal effects gets washed off with water. One coat. Don't both put it on dry and then try and put it on wetter and wetter, because what happens, it'll start to adhere to your sanded surface. You got to dust your color on, because when everything is dry, you're going to have to wash this off. It's already starting to kick. I want to get the camera in there so you guys can see it happen. I'm already getting a crystal look. Right around in this area here. Okay, now I'm going to stop with the heat and let the rest of it dry on its own. 10 to 15 minutes minimum. If you have a cooler temperature, then it's going to take a little longer. Just make sure that it dries good before you go and hit it with paint. If you put too much paint on, it's going to be very hard to wash all the crystals off and get them all off so that you got a nice smooth surface. So you cannot put a lot of paint on as your secondary color. Very little. A light dust coat, stop. I found a red pearl. It's going to give me almost the same effect that I'm looking for, and some purple candy base coat from House of Colors that I'm just going to spurt in a couple of spots, and then we're going to leave it alone. I just want to get a little contrast and color in there, and this way it's not so monochromatic looking, okay? Can't put a lot. You got to dust your color on, because when everything is dry, you're going to have to wash this off. And if you put too much paint on, it's going to be very hard to wash all the crystals off and get them all off so that you got a nice smooth surface. Now you can see I only fogged in the purple back here and down on the bottom a little bit. And that's all I want to do. You don't want to put on too much paint. It's going to be very hard to get the crystal mask off. Okay guys, time's up. Now you're going to see what I'm going to see for the first time. I'm using warm water. The design that you saw will not always come up exactly like this. It depends on how heavy you put it on, how fast it dries, and what your ambient temperature is what determines how this stuff is going to start forming out. Because it started out one way here, I thought it was going to stay, and it didn't. Because when I heated this area here up, to dry it faster to get smaller crystal look, the heat worked its way around here and started to work over here, okay? So, and you can do the same thing by how heavy and how wet or how dry you spray on the CrystalFX liquid itself.